Everybody, welcome to the Soul Food Priest podcast / broadcast with Father Ben. It's good to have you. And I'm here with Sylvia Vega and Kirati. How you guys doing?
I'm doing well.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. I brought us some mocha shortbread, and these are kind of an experiment, to be honest with you, because I've never actually made them before. So it's got mocha / coffee in there, butter, a little bit of ground pecans, a smidge of clove.
Oh my gosh.
And then you make the icing with coffee too.
Just smell it first. Do you smell this?
Again, I don't know how people on Food Network do this. I feel really guilty, really loving all of this, and people can't try it.
Well, it's...
Unless one day we do.
And you're not going to offend me. Father Ben, this is horrible. It is god-awful. I don't know what you were thinking.
I am going to tell you, I do not like coffee. So,
no one's perfect.
I know, nobody's perfect.
So
I'm going to go for it, and I might love it, even though it's got the coffee flavor. But
I just want to
just wanted to let you know in case you say, ugh.
Yeah.
I won't do that, but...
I just want a candle.
All right, so this is...
Let me know what you think.
What is the outside again?
So it's kind of like a coffee mocha glaze.
Okay,
and
here we go.
It's made with instant coffee, ground coffee, salt. You taste the salt?
Okay. Because I don't like coffee,
Oh, come on.
I can't eat more than one.
Yeah.
Really?
But
This is not strong on the coffee, I don't think.
You don't think
But-
so?
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
you know what this reminds me of? A masapan.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know what a
I
masapan
do.
is?
Yeah.
It's
so good.
delicious.
Yeah.
I love it.
Well, at least
Good.
with these, you could just eat half.
Yeah.
No.
Right.
I like this.
Oh, you do
because
like
it's
it. Okay.
it's not a strong coffee
Yeah.
flavor. It just gives me that end
Yeah.
because I don't like coffee.
What do you think, Kira?
I like it.
Do you?
A lot.
Okay. It's kind of like...
And this, you said this is shortbread.
Yeah, it's shortbread, and shortbread is the easiest thing in the world to make because it's flour, sugar, and butter, and then salt, basically. So you can make 1,000 different flavors with it. And but I actually like it with hot tea, even though it's a coffee flavor. And so
It's really good.
oh,
I was
good,
going to say,
good.
I do prefer shortbread with tea. But this is really, I've had your shortbread before. I don't know what you did to this one. I like this one best.
Do you? Okay, good.
Like it's,
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. Maybe
Like
it's
at
the
Christmas,
pecan.
we make like a mint shortbread too, and so
Yeah.
yeah.
I think this one's my favorite. Now, and I love this. I just love that.
Well, this have you guys you've heard of California cuisine?
I haven't, but
Yeah?
I'm sure
Okay.
there's cuisine in California.
So you've heard of continental cuisine?
Yes, I
a
have.
regional cuisine.
Yeah.
Okay, so in every region of the United States, there's all these different types of foods. Like in Louisiana, Creole Cajun, New England clam chowder, and Providence, and in that area.
Maybe.
Chicago pizza, whatever. And so in California, right around, let's see, I was born in 1972. So I think the year before I was born, a woman, you ever heard of Alice Waters? So she started a restaurant in Berkeley, California called Chez Panisse. So that was in 1971. And what was interesting about Chez Panisse is she just basically started going out to the local growers and farmers and getting what they were growing, and she built the menu around that. And that was a very novel concept in the 70s. Now it's normal to some extent, but at the time you would create a menu, then get the ingredients to go around the menu. So she said, let's reverse that. Let's get what's fresh, sustainable, and let's get it from the local growers
That's awesome.
and build the menu around that. So the following year, this guy named, you ever heard of Jeremiah Towers?
No.
So yes. So for those
I'm
of you
sure
who have
he's
not
great.
heard of Jeremiah Tower, he went to Harvard, so in 1972, he's got this bit larger than life personality. Frankly, he's kind of into himself too. He's kind of a little egotistical, in my opinion, but. So anyway, he goes to eat at Chez Panisse and fell in love with the place. And so he became Alice Waters' chef. And the two of them really started what we kind of know as California cuisine. 10 years later, 1982, you ever heard of Wolfgang Puck?
Yes.
So Wolfgang Puck came, I think he's from Austria.
We got that
You
one.
got it. You got it.
We got that
Nice.
one.
Yes.
That is pretty.
Finally.
That is
Network.
pretty cool. I'm very proud of you, by the way. So do you know what restaurant he started?
Wolfgang's.
It's called Spago.
Okay. No.
So Spago. So Jeremiah
Darn
Tower
it.
started a restaurant called Stars in San Francisco, and Puck had Spagos. And so these three people really kind of put on the map what we know as California cuisine. And I'll be honest with you, that in my opinion, one of the restaurants that's really underrated in California, it's called Greens. It's in San Francisco. But they really have done, in my opinion, far more to promote California cuisine and really accentuating the importance of getting food from local growers and supporting them.
I love
and
that.
we see that a lot now in Memphis, at different restaurants. And it's really beautiful to kind of see, because it's a great way to highlight the local growers and even especially like grain-fed cows
Yeah.
and free-range chicken. I mean, everybody agrees that the quality is 100-fold better. And so that's one of the cool things. One of the things that did happen between Jeremiah Tower and Alice Waters is extreme conflict. So these like, even to this day, they're both in the early 80s. They're very much there's hostility there.
Yeah.
So I was kind of thinking about that with regards to what we're talking about today. We're going to talk about like a little bit about resolving family conflicts.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, I know. I mean, seriously, I know that's none of our families here.
No.
I'm sure. I mean, I've heard of families.
Yeah.
Not that our families ever had that. I mean,
perfect.
yeah. I mean, everybody comes together at Thanksgiving, right? And it's like Jack Daniels, Jim Beam. No. So it's.
No, we've kind of moved up from that, I think, but it's still there.
Yeah. Yeah, it comes up. People ask, okay, gosh, I mean, Father, how do we kind of resolve family quabbles and quibbles and everything in between? And it really is a good question. I mean, like, what, especially if people sometimes have to get kind of emotionally prepared to be in somebody's presence.
Right.
And often these issues will come up. I'm sure you guys have never seen this.
Never.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I have no experience in that department at all. But
I mean, after you guys did your jail time, I'm sure
Yeah.
you had plenty of time to think about this.
Yeah, my kids throw me in jail every week for not letting them
Oh yeah.
use their phone that
I
much.
beg for my kids to throw me in jail.
Oh yeah.
Good point. Good
Please
point.
put me in timeout. Can I? Please.
Yeah. Gandhi used to love his time in jail. He's like, this is great. I got private time to read.
No, but after you mentioned that, Father, that brings to mind, yeah, it happens with family, but just sometimes, there's that friend or that friend of that friend that's going to be there, and you're like, oh, and you have to prepare yourself mentally to put yourself in not in a guarded way, but like, I know this is coming, so just try to either like dodge it, or what can I do to not take the bait, So, yeah, I mean, I'm sure we've all, family, friends, co-workers, and, we don't. We love each other. But, I mean, of course, we've all been in situations that way. Even when you go to a certain place, or let's say restaurant that that you absolutely love, but like maybe the service is bad. You're like, oh, I know they're going to be this way, but really love the food.
Yeah.
So we've got to prepare ourselves.
Yeah.
But, day to day, who do we see the most? Our family.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
And we're all sinners.
That's true.
So
That's right.
we're all sinners. So that's where, and you know your family the most. They know the most about you. So with, just being fallen people with weaknesses and struggles and everything, it's bound to happen.
Yep.
I might instigate it or somebody else might instigate it, and how you deal with that. It's just, that's a very, so teach us on prudence on what proper choices to make when we are in situations like this.
Well, it's a very good point, I mean, that you guys bring up. I think, and Lord knows I'm not the oracle on wisdom here.
You never did anything.
Never.
Just threw cookies.
Yeah, this is
from
why
the skating rink,
Yeah.
second floor. Thoughts
Yes.
of doing that.
Yeah.
Only
Trust me, this is why Father Ben smokes cigars. Okay, so I do think that it may be helpful just for those of you that are interested to kind of learn a little bit about some of these things. For instance, they typically will put conflict in 3 categories.
Okay.
So there's task conflict, relationship conflict, and value conflict. So task conflict would be like, I'm always the one to empty the dishwasher.
Yeah, I hear that
I've
every
asked
day.
you, are you going to get the kids? I always have to get the kid, So tasks, what's got to get done? Chop, chop, let's go.
Yeah.
Relationship conflicts. I'm going to see my brother-in-law at Thanksgiving. He's always drunk. How do I handle this? Okay. Relationships, especially if let's say we're dealing with a mixed marriage, things like this. How are we going to handle these relationships? And value conflict, in my opinion, tends to be the most cantankerous. So by value conflict, we mean political affiliations.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. We're in a political year,
Right.
a voting year, so
Right.
this is going to be really a great topic.
Yes. Yes.
Take
So
notes
Let me
on.
grab my cookie.
yeah.
We'll just stress eat.
Yes. Yeah.
Breastfeeding.
Actually, I think that's how eggnog came about. Is some they were talking politics over Christmas and like
Yeah. This is good.
Yeah.
Great with whiskey.
So we have to kind of figure out how we're going to handle these things, and it is kind of good, I believe, to kind of go into these meetings or these gatherings or whatever with a few things in mind. Number one, what is it that sets me off, and who is it sets me off? Okay, if I know that I'm going to be around this one person that just triggers me, my mother-in-law or whatever it is, that just triggers me. Okay, well, why do they trigger me? Am I reading too much into it?
Yeah.
Or is it that this person is really annoying? For instance, this one guy I know, he's a good guy, he's got a good heart, but everything goes back to him. And no matter where the conversation goes, it's, oh, I know them, I've done that, we've, so, and this really grates on my last nerve because he's a good guy, just highly narcissistic. But underneath that is a good man. And so, okay, I know that. So going into that, how am I going to handle this?
Yeah.
Otherwise, I can't enjoy my time.
Right.
And now maybe I need to pull him aside privately and talk to him. One of the other things I think is an obvious point that a lot of people forget about, I know I certainly have, is, look, you can't win them all. I mean,
that's true.
I mean, there's sometimes we just have to take it on the chin and hold our tongue. There are times that we have to pull the person aside, or maybe we have to draw a line in the sand.
Yeah.
But we have to take it on the chin. I mean, this happens far more as a pastor, that I have to do that than I have to maybe take a firm stand on an issue.
Right.
And it's good for us to die to ourselves.
Yeah.
That's really, really hard for a lot of people, especially if they have a bold personality, because people will often say, oh, that's just how I am, Father. If they don't like it, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, okay, but you can't whitewash bad behavior that way.
Yeah.
Because you have you're maybe type A and you have a bold personality.
Yeah.
Well, I'm Italian, Father. Well, okay. Well, you know what? I'm Irish. I'm Hispanic. I'm German. You can see, that
Right.
again, that doesn't whitewash anything.
Yeah.
You are responsible for your own behavior, period. That's how it is. So, it's, I can always tell Christmas is come and gone, because right around January, my phone starts blowing up. Father, we need you to get together with our family.
Oh, no.
We've got some issues. And I'm like,
That's funny.
incredible.
I mean, but I think it's part of, because I don't know what you think, Kira, but I feel like you made mention of it. It sometimes happens the most with our families.
Yeah.
Why? Because we have that, you just can't tell a person that you work with, and your brother, your sister, your mom, your dad, you probably are the hardest on them.
Yeah.
And they're the hardest on you. Why? Because there's that, Alice, she'll forgive me. We're siblings. Yeah. So I feel like we take everything out of context even more with our families and are ruder and meaner, even though, because we know there's love, we take advantage of that. Yeah. And I feel like, obviously, when everybody gets together, it's like you put all the ingredients in the pot and it's just like, it's waiting to happen. So I feel like, I think we kind of take advantage of our family's love sometimes and abuse our love, I guess, and I don't know how to put it, and pick on them or pick on us the most, because it's okay, they'll love us.
Yeah, good
and it's
point.
not fair. You know?
Well, and I think it's difficult with families because was it C.S. Lewis? There's a quote where it's basically to love means that you're vulnerable, and so you're having to reveal some of those innermost secrets or innermost thoughts, or you reveal more of yourself when you love somebody, and so with revealing more of that and putting yourself out there like that, it's probably easier to get your feelings hurt or to get offended because you're like, and because you've put so much of yourself into this conversation or into this relationship with these friends or family members or what. And they know a lot more about you, you know a lot more about them, and so you can, and depending, like, you have to know yourself. You have to know, okay, I do know this about this person. Am I going to gossip? Because I could really reveal some things about this person if they make me mad. And you almost, and sometimes people will start to do that in familial relationships and even friendships. And so we are at more risk of getting hurt and of hurting each other because we've revealed so much of ourselves to each other. Yeah. And so we have to have... I know
what hurts you.
Yeah.
You know what hurts me. I know what buttons to click because I know all about you.
But I know we have to know the self-control of, okay, I can't use this person. I really have to treasure this relationship. And, I know you talk about the drawing the line in the sand, and that's hard because also to do that might also mean I have to back away from this person, and that's a cross and a heavy burden and a sadness that includes grief. Yeah. And so that's a really difficult thing to do, but sometimes I have to do it out of protection.
Yeah, that's right. And I would add maybe as a caveat to that as well, I think one of the things that it's really, most people hate confrontation. Yeah, I do. And like, or they hold it and hold it and hold it and explode. And then they've got two problems. They have the original problem and they've just made it exponentially worse. Yeah. I think one of the things that is good for all of us to ask ourselves, especially if there's somebody in our family that we tend to maybe be allergic to. Am I reading too much into things?
That's usually me. So
yeah, like they begin to read cryptic meanings that aren't there, that the person does not intend. Like, for instance, let's say somebody is quiet because they're stressed or tired, they need coffee. Well, why aren't they talking to me? Yeah. They must be mad at me.
Why does that happen, Father?
Is that more of a female thing?
Is it a defensive
No, I think
mode,
I see that on both
sides?
ends. Yeah, okay. I mean, I would say just...
I'm like, I know for me, it just seems more female, but you are exposed to a lot more people.
How can we stop that? Because I do know that, I'm sure all of us, we've been in a position where sometimes we are hurting ourselves because we're reading into things. Why are we even reading into things?
Well, and I would say in people's defense, right? To some degree, it's a great blessing that people. I mean, even St. Paul talks about this. Sometimes people they're very attuned to what's going on with the people around them and their families, like where are they at emotionally, what are their needs are, and that's a curse and a blessing. So sometimes they're asking those questions. Some people, the opposite, they could care less, they need to care more, and some people care so much that that can happen, that can be the drawback. And I would say one of the things that can get people in hot water is they're not even aware of passive aggressive comments that they make. This happens a lot, let's say, with a man, and he feels like he's walking a tightrope between his wife and his mother. And you just need to blank. You just need to tell her blank. And so what happens is he doesn't want to tick off his mom or his wife. So he's kind of caught in between. And the problem with that is over time, that can really, really wear a person down to the extent that they just begin to tune both of them out. So... if they don't know how to do that, and sometimes they call that triangulation, right? Instead of going directly to the person like an adult, I'm going to go to you to get to her. And so again, because people hate confrontation, when you see them, it's like everything's butterflies and rainbows. Okay, and priests themselves can be guilty of this. I always think of that. The reading everybody uses at every wedding, everywhere in the history of the world. Love is patient, love is kind, love is all these things. And I love St. Paul, but sometimes I'm hearing that and I'm like, yeah, love is patient.
This reading is hard.
I mean,
this is like one of the most difficult readings.
Yeah, I did not choose that at my ordination.
Yeah, I did not choose it at my wedding either.
Good for you.
I did.
Yeah. Sorry, St. Paul.
I did.
Yeah, you did?
I did. But a good point on that was the lady that read it, and you might have known her. Her name was Rosa. She read at Resurrection, and she had a very strong voice, Spanish reader. She looked at Mundo and I every time. Love is patient, like directly at us, and read it to us.
Ouch.
Kind of as a
that's kind of cool.
Remember this.
You're more courageous.
I liked it. Just like, remember this, guys. I'm looking at you.
Yeah,
you know.
We did Ezekiel.
Accountability.
Not Ezekiel. Ephesians 5. Wives, be subordinate to your husband. So we got the other one.
I took that one now.
We got that one. We got that hard one, that difficult one.
But I mean, we're not always patient.
Yeah.
But we should be. We should be.
And we do sometimes have to take it on the chin. And I mean, and as I've gotten older, when I was younger, I used to be much more aggressive and in the sense of biting back or internalizing things. And Lord knows I'm still working on it. But as I've gotten older, I've realized, maybe they're just having a crappy day.
Yeah.
Who doesn't?
Yeah, I was, because I said Ezekiel, because Ezekiel was in my head, because I just literally read it this morning. And there was one question on there, because it was kind of the Lord speaking to Ezekiel. And it was like, you're going to be prophesying to these people, and you need to prophesy the truth. And it was something to the effect of, some people will speak loving words, but it can be for gain. And I highlighted that, and I told my husband, it's really a good question to start taking into consideration, like just as a type of examine. Like, okay, I might look a certain way, and I might be having a conversation with another person, but is it for my personal gain? Or is it because I really want to know what is going
Right.
on with this person?
Yeah.
And I really am investing myself into this conversation.
Yeah.
Or is it just for me to just vent, for
Yeah.
me to just get what I want? And I think that that's oftentimes very difficult to do in family relationships, because we do think, well, we know each other so well, but oftentimes I know with my own kids, sorry guys, and even in my own marriage, like, you're just like, look at me, like, look what I'm doing, look at what I'm doing, acknowledge me, affirm me. But a lot of times it's like, we've got to make sure we're doing that for the other person. We're affirming the other person in the family, that when I'm speaking in this loving way and I'm loving them and I say that I'm loving them, that it's not for my personal gain.
Yeah.
It's all for them, and their goodness. So
Yeah, great
it was
point.
beautiful.
Great point.
I never knew that.
It's in some ways kind of the Marian receptivity, right? I mean, awesome, good stuff. And listen, everybody, if you have struggles in your family, just know that you are part. We're all there. We're all there. God can bring healing. Don't forget to put soul in your food and give food to your soul. God bless you.